The Titanic and the novel that predicted it in 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank. Author Morgan Robertson wrote a novella titled Futility. The story described a massive luxury ocean liner. Called the Titan, the ship was considered unsinkable. It struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic in April and sank due to insufficient lifeboats. The similarities are chilling. Both ships were nearly the same length. Both were described as the largest vessels of their time. Both hit icebergs at high speed. Both sank in April. Both lacked enough lifeboats for passengers. Robertson had never experienced a disaster like that. At the time he wrote the book, nothing similar had occurred on that scale. Maritime experts later admitted the technical details were surprisingly accurate. Was it coincidence? A lucky guess? Or a writer deeply familiar with naval engineering predicting what arrogance and overconfidence could produce? History repeated fiction almost detail for detail. The identical twins separated at birth in 1940. Identical twins were separated at birth in Ohio and adopted by different families. Neither family knew about the other twin. Decades later, researchers discovered something astonishing. Both boys were named James by their adoptive parents. Both grew up to become police officers. Both married women named Linda. Both divorced and remarried women named Betty. Both had sons named James Allen, spelled slightly differently. Both owned dogs named Toy. They even had similar hobbies and driving habits. These parallels developed independently, without contact. Psychologists still debate how much genetics influences personality and life choices. But the level of similarity in the Jim twins case continues to be cited as one of the most extraordinary examples of coincidence ever documented. The Hoover Dam father and son in 1922. A man named George Tierney died while working on the Hoover Dam project. 13 years later, in 1935, the final worker to die during its construction was his son, Patrick Tierney. Both died on December 20th, father and son. Same project, same date. The dam took years to complete and employed thousands of workers. The statistical probability of a father and son dying on the exact same date, 13 years apart, during the same construction project, is incredibly small. It wasn't planned. It wasn't symbolic. It was a tragic and almost unbelievable alignment of fate. The Hoover Dam still stands today, but its history holds one of the most haunting coincidences in American engineering. The bullet that waited 20 years in the late 1800s. A man named Henry Zieglin from Texas ended a relationship. The woman, devastated, took her own life. Her brother blamed Henry and shot him in revenge. Henry survived. The bullet only grazed his face and lodged into a nearby tree. Years later, Henry decided to remove that same tree using dynamite. The explosion dislodged the bullet still embedded inside. The force sent it flying directly into his head, killing him instantly. The same bullet, fired decades earlier, returned in the most improbable way possible. Police reports confirmed the chain of events. It reads like fiction, but it happened. The man who survived to atomic bombs Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. When the atomic bomb detonated, he survived, despite being close enough to suffer burns. He returned to his hometown of Nagasaki 3 days later, on August 9th. He survived the second atomic bomb as well. He is officially recognized by the Japanese government as having survived both bombings. To nuclear explosions, to different cities, same man. The odds of surviving one are nearly impossible. Surviving both is almost beyond comprehension. The Edgar Allan Poe time loop. Edgar Allan Poe wrote a novel in 1838, titled The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. In the story, for shipwreck survivors are stranded at sea, starving. They decide to kill and eat the cabin boy. His name in the novel? Richard Parker. In 1884, decades later, a real ship called the Mignonet sank. 4 survivors were stranded. They killed and ate the cabin boy to survive. His name was Richard Parker. The similarity is exact, name included. Coincidence? Most likely. But the timing and specificity continue to fascinate historians and literary scholars alike. The car that killed James Dean after actor James Dean died in a car crash in 1955. Parts of his Porsche were sold. The engine was placed into another car. That car crashed during a race, killing its driver. Other parts installed in the separate vehicles were involved in accidents. One mechanic reportedly injured himself while removing parts. A showroom displaying the wreck caught fire. The truck transporting it later crashed. Some believe it was cursed. Others say coincidence amplified by tragedy still. The chain of accidents surrounding that vehicle remains one of Hollywood's strangest coincidences. The woman who sank the same ship twice, Violet Jessup, worked as a stewardess on ocean liners. In 1911, she was aboard the RMS Olympic when it collided with a British warship. She survived. In 1912, she was aboard the Titanic when it struck an iceberg and sank. She survived. In 1916, she was aboard the HMHS Britannic when it hit a mine and sank in the Aegean Sea. She survived again. 3 major maritime disasters. Same woman. All survived. She later became known as Miss Unsinkable. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Mark Twain was born in 1835. The year Halley's Comet appeared in the sky, in 1909. He famously said he expected to go out with it when it returned. Halley's Comet reappeared in 1910. Mark Twain died the day after its closest approach to Earth. He predicted it, and history followed his words. The king who was saved by a stranger, twice in 1930s Australia. A man pulled a struggling swimmer from the ocean and saved his life. Years later, that same rescuer found himself drowning. A bystander rushed in and saved him. That bystander was the same person he had rescued years before. 2 lives, 2 rescues, same people, different roles. Coincidence reminds us of something unsettling. The world doesn't just move randomly. Sometimes, events align in ways that feel almost scripted. And when they do, we're left asking the same question every time. Is it chance? Or something we still don't understand?